Now joining us on Houston Sports Talk is four-time NFL All-Pro and former Houston Oilers defensive end William Fuller. With over 100 career sacks, he ranks in the top 30 all-time in NFL history. Thanks so much for joining us, William. And I know we're catching you right after finishing another day coaching at a camp called Football University. Had a chance to witness what you guys do a few weeks ago in Houston. Tell us a little bit about what this is all about and what you're up to these days.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me on. Yes, I'm working with All-American Games, which is a parent company for Football University, and I've been working with them for, I guess, 2.5, almost 3 years now. We do technique coaching. My focus, obviously, is defensive line. We do, last year we did probably 30-plus camps across the country. I primarily focus on the East Coast. Did do the Houston camp. We'll average somewhere between 150 to 300 kids at a camp. And it's a 3-day camp that goes from Friday to Sunday. Very intensive. We also have a lot of classroom sessions and seminars for the parents and coaches and sponsors or what have you. But I've been doing it for 3 years and really enjoying it. It feels great to be able to give back. Kind of honors a lot of those coaches and folks who were so instrumental in my life early on and helping me, become a good football player and give me the opportunity.
Yeah, you've got a lot of great NFL coaches along with you at the camp. I know Billy White Shoes Johnson, another former Houston Oilers legend, is with you on that. And you're talking to two lifelong Oilers fans, and Anthony and myself. So we remember your time here very well. A few months ago, the NFL Network showed that fantastic documentary on the 93 team, perhaps the most fascinating season in NFL history. What were your thoughts as you kind of lived through that season and retelling that story? And how talented do you think that team was?
Wow. Well, my thoughts are, we were extremely talented. It was some incredible talent. It was fun to do that. The NFL Network flew me out to their headquarters in New Jersey and was able to spend time with them. And I'm actually the guy who got on the phone and encouraged Sean Jones and Ray Childress and those guys to participate as well. And Sean made contact with Haywood Jeffries, and I thought they did a good job. As far as my reaction, I knew that there was dysfunction. I lived it. But, in looking at that, I couldn't remember that we had that much dysfunction and so much going on in that 93 season and the season before, obviously with the Buddy Ryan and Gilbert situation and with Babygate, and it was just on and on and on. So, and the fact that we were able to accomplish what we accomplished in spite of, getting in our own way, tripping over our own feet, is incredible. And you talk to a lot of good football people, they'll tell you that was probably one of the most talented teams that they had ever seen, at just about every position. And, the real shame is that we weren't able to bring a championship to Houston. And, I'm not sitting here wearing a Super Bowl ring today.
William, some folks, Oiler fans, would say the 93 team, the team that won 11 straight, went 12-4, and played the Chiefs in the playoffs, also might have been one of the best ever. But I kind of go back to the 91 Oilers when you ended up playing the Denver Broncos. I feel like that was one of Warren Moon's best years. And hey, I think you had 15 sacks and went to the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
So what do you think of that 91 team?
Oh, I thought the 91 team was great. All 3 years, we went to playoffs. God, what was it? I don't know, 6-7 years straight. It's really hard to say. We go up there, we face some legends. We go to Denver, and we feel like we got a great chance there. And of course, Elway pulls the rabbit out of this hat with the big drive on us, and like he's done on so many teams. And then we have the Buffalo thing, and then Kansas City, and just when you think, Montana, doesn't have anything left in the tank, he puts on a good performance too. But it's hard for me to really say that, one team was much better than the other. A lot of the talent was on all 3 of those teams. But, again, it just gets back to the talent we had just through the years. You could probably go a 5-6 year stretch where we had some damn good talent in Houston.
And, I kind of recall not only in that Broncos playoff game, but of course the infamous Bills game, defensive coordinator Jim Eddy got a lot of blame for that. But do you think that was a bit unfair? Because for me, I see similar reasons for both of those losses. Not just maybe not enough timely defense, but not enough ball possession by the offense and some untimely turnovers.
Right. Well, I mean, you hate to point blames, and we're all in it together. The fact that we were successful with Jim Eddy's defense through the year and had done well, I don't want to throw Jim Eddy under the bus. And there are a number of things that really contributed to it. I love Kevin Gilbride. I respect him. I think he's a fantastic coach. I thought Buddy Ryan was a great coach, too. Obviously, it's tough to keep focused and to be successful when you have all that issues that were going on amongst them. But even with that, as far as Buffalo is concerned, I think one of the biggest things, what a lot of folks don't look at, is the fact that, when you have a high-powered offense, it's feast or famine. The run and shoot was great. We'll go against the number one defense. I remember we went up to Kansas City and Warren Moon threw for 500. We're all over them. Then the next week, can't remember who we played, and we can't score 7 points. So, when it's on fire, it was on fire. But at the same time, it's not the type of offense where you run out the clock and you're able to protect the big lead. They throw the ball. So, once we had that big lead, we didn't have the running game to really, eat up the clock. And so Buffalo was able to tee off and, get some big plays and get back into it. If you had a traditional defense, and again, I respect the run and shoot. I just think that we should have had a tight end somewhere on the roster, whether we use them in a limited manner, a fullback on the roster, so that now you can offer that protection. You can offer those extra blockers when you want to, run your power game and run game. I mean, that's just my take. A lot of the stuff you see with these wide open spread offenses is really an offshoot of, some of the things that Kevin did with the run and shoot. But yet they do have those additional players so that, when you face those times where it's inclement weather or just for whatever reason, things are not clicking from an offensive standpoint. It's good to be able to have those guys on the roster to be able to now let's get back to, dirty grunt football. And, through the years, we've had some great teams that can throw it up and down the field. But you look at it, usually the teams with the good defense and the teams that can run the football that actually bring home the trophy, at the end of the year. It'd be interesting to see how the Eagles do. I have a lot of respect for Jim Kelly. From Coach Kelly and what he's doing. They did a fantastic job last year as far as winning a number of games and getting to the playoffs. But yet, stubbed their toe in the playoffs. And I just think it's hard for, since the greatest show on turf with the Rams, I just don't think you're going to see that year in and year out. I think it's the teams a la Seattle, teams that have a good defense and that can run the ball on you as well as throw the ball are the ones that are going to, ultimately find goal at the end of the year or, get that Super Bowl trophy.
Well, speaking of those offenses and the ones that you guys had were so innovative under Jack Pardee. We lost Jack last year, and in many ways the offensive system he implemented with the Gamblers and then the Cougars and the Oilers changed football from the NFL all the way down to the high school level. I mean, you see that on a daily basis. What kind of coach was Jack, and what did you learn from being around him?
I like Jack. He was a great coach. First of all, he was a great human being, a great man. And I think everybody respected him. He was not the a fire and brimstone type of coach. And then I think in some instances, the dynamics that were going on with Kevin and Buddy, may not have happened under a more forceful coach who actually took control. But he was one that give his coordinators a lot of latitude and kind of just sit back and you still have coaches today that operate that way. So I'm not saying that he was wrong in doing that. But he was an outstanding man. He was a good football player, and certainly, sad to see here that he's no longer here.
Well, one of your former teammates from that era, linebacker Lamar Lathan, said you guys knew that you guys had a couple of members on your team that were homosexual, and he said that everybody accepted them and had a ton of respect for them in the locker room. And I don't know if you could speak to this a little bit, but I'm a proud Mizzou alum, and like everybody else, I've been following the Michael Sam story. Just want to know from your perspective as from that time and as you see it now, what are your thoughts as you've seen this story unfold after going through the same situation 20 years ago?
Yeah, well, they tried to give me a comment on that during the segment we did with NFL films. I will say that, yes, there were some guys who, guys thought that they may have been I don't think, anybody had a confirmation, or at least I didn't. But we really didn't care. We didn't let that bother me. I'll tell you what, and I know who they're talking about. They were tremendous football players. They gave it everything, tough, physical, played hard, and, showed up to work. And in any business situation, all you can ask is, your employee, your fellow employee, that he come to work and he do his job. And those guys did that. Fast forward to the Michael Sam situation, at the end of the day, he's a football player. So come out and, as long as he comes out and he plays football and he's a good football player, then the locker room will accept him. Absolutely. They will accept him. And I don't think it'll be an issue, whatever. Now, we have to be careful when the media wants to hype him up and he's not as good. And I don't know. We're going to see. When you have someone who's not as good and, the media or the organization tries to give him a pass because we're trying to make a political statement, I think, pro football players, we have so much respect for the game that, we don't want to see the game watered down, and we don't want to see that high. And even guys with, deep religious moral values, understand that, hey, if a guy comes in, regardless of what his sexual orientation is, if he's a football player and he can help us win, then we want him to be a part of our team. But we don't want to see a situation where, an agenda is pushed and, it's not about football and it's not about winning anymore, because, again, that takes away, and that's really disrespectful to the men that are working their tail off to be successful.
William, I don't know if you've been able to monitor the Texans that much, but how do you expect Jadeveon Clowney and the Texans defense to perform this year under head coach Bill O'Brien and defensive coordinator Romeo Crennel? What kind of defense you think those coaches bring to the team, and what past or present NFL players pops into your mind when you look at someone like Clowney?
Well, I think he's an outstanding football player. I think this is a perfect situation. I guess perfect may not be the word, but I couldn't imagine a better situation where he has, a guy like J.J. Watt, who everybody has a lot of respect for as just one hell of a football player. Kind of reminds me of the guy I played with, Ray Childress. And I think Childress, raised the bar for everyone else. I mean, he made me a better football player because, I better get out there and make some things happen, if I want to be respected and want to be a part of a decent. And I think you'll see the same thing. I think the work ethic that J.J. Watt has will transfer over to Clowney. Everybody talks about the fact that Clowney did not have as great as, sophomore and junior year. Well, shoot, who does once you come out the box like he did and teams start running away from him or double teaming him? Yeah, it's going to be hard for him to have the kind of numbers that he had before. But, I mean, he's an incredible athlete, and I think it's a perfect situation. You have some Billy O'Brien and Romeo Crennel. I mean, those guys have been around a long time, very, very well-respected defensive minds from what I've read and heard. And, again, I don't know a whole lot about it. I see where, they're going to play a 34 and they're going to move him outside. And, of course, like everybody is doing these days, you're seeing these 3-4 looks. When you're in a hybrid linebacker and you bring him down and he'll be that fourth rusher, where it's really just a 4-3 at times. And so, they can play tricks where you don't know where their guy's coming or he's not coming. And, I expect him to have a good year, and I expect that defense to be pretty daggone good.
Hey, that's some great insight from one of the best that played the game at defensive end, former Houston Oiler William Fuller. And he played with the Eagles and the Chargers and in the USFL as well. Pleasure to have you with us, William. Thank you so much, and thank you for all the great memories over the years.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on.
You can listen to more of our interviews and podcast on HoustonSportsTalk.net. Subscribe to Houston Sports Talk for free on iTunes or on the Stitcher app.